So our mission is to prevent morbidity and mortality, to prevent people from getting sick and keep people from dying. And again, we would rather prevent disease than treat disease, and we know that vaccines are one of the best ways to do that. Private sector companies absolutely have an incentive to make vaccines. You can make a profit on vaccines, and there's a market on vaccines. The government recommends that we get vaccines. But in general, you would make a much bigger profit, for example, on a drug that you would take every day for the rest of your life. And there are also certain vaccines, vaccines either for rare diseases or may just affect people in poor countries for whom manufacturers don't have a big incentive. And we frequently work on those diseases. Yeah, so my team of researchers, my faculty and staff work on what we call the full spectrum of vaccine development. So right at the beginning, when we're thinking about what antigens, what substances might work, to actually putting a vaccine together, testing it in animals, testing it in humans, and then helping to get it out there. We aren't in the business of selling vaccines. We aren't in the business of profiting from vaccines. So when we get a vaccine to the stage where it's ready to be made at a larger scale or given to humans, that's when we usually partner with a company, a manufacturing company. The Vaccines for Children's program is a U.S. entitlement program that guarantees that all children until their 19th birthday have access to affordable and sometimes free vaccines. So it was really a commitment by our country that vaccines are important enough that finances shouldn't be a barrier to get vaccines. So individual providers and health departments are part of this program. So parents who don't have insurance or have enough insurance, everyone can still get vaccines for their children in this country. In other countries, many countries can't afford that type of program. So a number of donors, the Gates Foundation, certain of the Scandinavian countries, some European countries, got together and founded Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, whose purpose is similar, to help subsidize vaccine costs so that poor countries can afford to buy those vaccines and get those vaccines to their children. I think one example is a disease called non-typhoidal salmonella. For most of us here in the US, that causes food poisoning. That's a bacteria that causes food poisoning. But we actually, from doing work in Africa, discovered that many children get a severe blood disease from this non-typhoidal salmonella. So there aren't a lot of vaccine manufacturers who want to work in that area because you're not going to make a big profit on a vaccine that only affects children in certain parts of Africa. So our researchers took this on, our laboratory and basic science team. They developed a vaccine. They tested it in animals. It worked very well with animals. And we have now partnered with a vaccine manufacturer, and we're very close to testing this vaccine in humans. I think, malaria, TB, HIV, it's hard to choose between them, but any of those vaccines would have enormous impact. And of course, here at the CVD, we really prioritize malaria vaccines. That's one of our strengths. And we know it's a leading cause of death in children throughout the world.